It's time now for Real Estate Update. With Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty, real estate is our world.
Now we're standing here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this very exciting segment of the weekly Real Estate Update with Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. And with that, welcome to the show, Usha.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Australian Indian Radio and Usha Chandra. It's great to be back once again after a short break.
And it is, a break's always very good, but getting back is almost as good as a holiday, they reckon. Well, right now, let's take a look at what everyone's talking about. I'm talking about the interest rate. So, where are we now? Has it gone up to where it was expected? I mean, we all knew that it was going up, but the basis point that it's increased by, is it showing signs of alarm or is it stabilizing?
Yes, looking at the cash rate, hits 2.6, surpassing the pre-COVID decade average. At the board meeting on Tuesday, RBA took the cash rate target 25 basis points higher to a lower increase than the preceding 4 months ago. At 2.6% cash rate, target is now the highest since 2013, July 2013, and surpasses the decade average prior to the onset of COVID-19, which was 2.55%. The current rate tightening cycle is the fastest since the early 1900s. Housing markets have received strongly to the rate hiking cycle, with the daily home value index for the combined capital cities currently down minus 5.7%, since peaking shortly after the first lift in the cash rate. However, the cash rate of decline in values eased through September at minus 1.4% compared to a 1.6% decline in August. So the cash rate was supposed to be, they were talking about that it will be going by 50%, 50 basis points, but they have done it 25 basis points, which is really good. Still the borrowing rate is still pretty good at 2.6%.
Okay, so there is an increase as was expected, and we know that there will be more to come before it gets to that sort of the plateau or the level playing field. But 25 basis points rather than 50 basis points is quite good. It's not as high, but also when we're looking at the highest level, it is the highest since 2013. And so it has an impact on the housing market. So what does it look like, what does it relate to in terms of auctions? We know in the last reports we were looking at that the auctions are once again coming in strong.
Yes, primary auction clearance rate of 62.3% across combined capital cities. There were 1,613 auctions held across the combined capital cities last week, up 22.6% from the previous week, when 1,316 homes were taken to auction. The lower volumes last week were attributed to the National Queen's Memorial public holiday and the AFL Grand Final in Melbourne. While volumes have increased last week, they have been impacted by the Labor Day long weekend across ACT, New South Wales and South Australia, along with Queen's Birthday long weekend across Queensland. This time last year, 1,986 auctions were held across the combined capital cities. Of the results collected so far, 62.3% were successful, up by 1.7% points from the previous week's preliminary clearance rate of 60.6%, which revised down to 60% at the final figures. This is the fifth consecutive week that the combined capital city preliminary clearance rate was held above 60%, while the final clearance rate was held at above 60% for the last 2 weeks. 1 year ago, 83.2% of homes taken to auction were successful. So still, I mean, the rates are it's a reasonable amount of increase in the auction, 1,613 compared to the previous week of 1,316, sorry, and up by 22.6%, and the result is pretty good.
The result is pretty good, and if you look at that 83.2%, and that was during the peak. So that was when it was the peak. So, 62.3% clearance rate across the combined capitals is quite a good result, I would say. So, it is rebounding after that big doom and gloom as soon as the interest rate hiked, or when, that peak, when we peaked and we started going down again. So it's picking up again, so which is quite good to see. Now, looking at all the major capitals we have looked at, but it's always interesting to compare the smaller capitals, the smaller cities, because that's where Brisbane fits. So what has been the results across all the major, smaller capitals?
Across the smaller capital cities, Brisbane was the busiest auction week last week, with 116 homes taken to auction across the city, followed by Adelaide. 102 properties were taken to auction, and Canberra, 61 properties were taken to auction. There were 19 auctions held in Perth last week and just 3 in Tasmania. Adelaide has recorded the strongest preliminary clearance rate of 78.3%, followed by Canberra 62.5%, Brisbane 45.9%, and Perth 40%. And in Tasmania, there were only 3 properties which were successful. So that's the result of the smaller cities. Looking at the highest in compared to smaller cities was Perth, and followed by Adelaide, 78.3%, and Canberra 62.5%.
So looking at Canberra, it's on par with the national average of about 62.5%. Brisbane is below average at about 45, when the national average was about 62. Of course, that has been offset by the high results in Adelaide. So yeah, once again, it is good to see that Brisbane was by far the busiest. So what did it equate to? Let's look at some of the facts and figures about the number of auctions, clearance rates, etc.
Yes, let's have a quick look at Sydney first. 60.4%, where total auctions were 489 and the cleared auctions were 247. And so that looking at Melbourne was 64.3%, 823 properties were taken to auction and 439 sold under the hammer. Brisbane 45.9%, 116 properties were taken to auction and 34 sold under the hammer. Adelaide was 78.3%, 102 properties were taken to auction and 54 sold under the hammer. Perth was 40%, 19 properties were taken to auction and 6 sold under the hammer. Tasmania, as we said, that only 3 properties were taken to auction and only 1 sold there. Canberra was 62.5%, 61 properties were taken to auction and 35 sold under the hammer. So looking at the average for the major cities, 62.3% was the clearance rate, and 1,630 properties were taken to auction and 816 properties were sold under the hammer. So the results are there, looking at city-wise and the results and how many properties were taken to auction and what was the last, auction, properties sold under the hammer.
Right, so that's the breakdown of those combined capitals that we looked at before. Right now, let's move on and let's take a look at what's happening when we look at the price, values, and the change. Now we do this on a weekly basis, even though many times it doesn't change a lot, but the monthly change then reflects on the yearly change as well. So it's always good to have a very quick look at, which is a very good indication of what's actually happening out there in the market. So let's take a look at, first of all, the monthly change in the major capitals.
Yes, let's have a quick look at the first Sydney markets. Minus 1.8%. Melbourne was minus 1%. Brisbane was minus 1.7%. Adelaide was minus 0.3%. Perth was minus 0.34%, and the combined capital cities minus 1.4%. So that's the monthly change in the values.
And it's quite interesting to see that in this month, all of the values of the capital cities are in the negative. They didn't go above the line. Well, so that's the monthly one. Right now, let's also take a look at what's happening nationally and in terms of the monthly ones.
Yes, now let's have a quick look at the national ones. Sydney is minus 6.2%. Melbourne is minus 4%. Brisbane is 13.2% plus. Adelaide is plus 19.1%. Perth is plus 4%. And combined capital cities is minus 1.1%. So
and,
that's, yes.
Sorry, and it's good to see this graph where there is actually some above the line ones, so which is Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth, and Adelaide leading at 19.1 and Brisbane is not too far back at 13.2. So, a great opportunity here in Brisbane at this point in time, 13.2. So that's very, very buoyant market as well, because Sydney's taken a nosedive at 6.2. Melbourne at minus 4 and combined capitals at minus 1.1. When there's a combined capitals is 1.1 and Brisbane and Adelaide are above 13.2 and 19.1, there are some very, very good numbers and figures there. Well, right now, of course, we know that based upon all this, we have to also look at where are the listings coming and what's the listing situation right across the board. So let's look at all the major capitals.
Brisbane market first. New listings is 3,638. So 4-week count is 14,644. Sydney is 5,392 new properties come on the market. 22,376 is the 4-week count. Canberra is 629 properties and 2,025 is the 4-week count. Melbourne is 6,607 new properties have come on the market. 4-week count is 26,650. Looking at Adelaide, 1,574 new properties, 4,517 is the 4-week count. Darwin is 238 new properties, 1,143 is the 4-week count. Perth is 3,532 properties, 13,524 is the 4-week count. Hobart is 323 new properties, 1,114 is the 4-week count. So let's have a quick look at the combined capital cities in number of listings. 21,933 new properties and 4-week count is 89,999. So large number of volumes of listings coming on the market still, and the 4-week count is about 85,999 new properties in the 4-week count.
That's right. Quite interesting to look at that 4-week count. Melbourne taking the lead at 6.6 thousand new listings. Then Sydney and Brisbane is third, 3,600, which is probably on par with Perth, which has got 3,500. So a lot of listings coming on the market. So there are some of the very buoyant areas. No wonder people are gravitating towards a career in real estate. Well, right now let's also take a look at the capital cities and, of course, the other area of real estate, which is a very bone and blood of many of the real estate agencies, is the rentals. So what's happening in rentals? How many properties have come on the market?
Yes, looking at, let's have a quick look at Darwin first. 296 new rental properties have come on the market. 639 is the 4-week count. Perth is 2,839 new properties have come on the market. 5,879 is the 4-week count. Hobart is 265 new properties and 543 is their 4-week count. Looking at Adelaide, 1,368 new rental properties have come on the market, and 2,629 is the 4-week count. Brisbane is 4,126, large number of listings here as well, and the 4-week count is 8,147. Sydney is 11,762 new properties, 4-week count is 27,133. Canberra is 811 new properties come on the market, 1,723 is the 4-week count. Melbourne is 10,067 new properties and 24,225 is the 4-week count. Looking at the combined capital cities, 31,534 new rental properties have come on the market and 70,918 is the 4-week count. So still large number of rental properties are coming on the market. The supply is coming, but the demand is higher because there's lots and lots of people looking for rental properties. So we need more properties, more rental properties, as we have got huge database of buyers waiting for rental properties.
Rightfully mentioned that, well, the places, well, you don't want to be looking for rental properties is probably Canberra, Hobart and Darwin. Canberra's got only 811 and Hobart 265 and Darwin 296. So that's what's putting the pressure on the overall, when we look at the country. So right now, let's take a look at the rental snapshot and look at, what are the average rents and what sort of yields are people getting, nationwide.
Yes, looking at Sydney markets first, the average rent is $665 a week, and the 12-month change is 10.3%, and the rental yield currently is 2.93%. Melbourne is $495 per week, and the 12-month change is 8.6%, and the current yield is 3.09%. Brisbane is $573. Has gone up in rent as well, and the 12-month change is 13.5%, and the current yield is 3.88%. Adelaide is $508 per week, and the 12-month change is 12.89%, and the current yield is 3.87%. Perth is $533 per week, and 12-month change is 9.1%, and current yield is 4.51%. Hobart is $551 per week, and 12-month change is 7.3%, and yield is 3.90%. Darwin is $590 per week, 12-month change is 5.4%, and current yield, look at the yield there, 6.29% to 6%, and that's quite large yield there. And Canberra is $682 per week, and 12-month change is 7.2%, and current yield is 3.97%. So looking at the combined capital cities, the average rent is $562 per week, and the 12-month change is 10.2%, and the current yield average is 3.36%. Let's have a quick look at the combined regionals. Regional market is still pretty good, now $497 per week, and 9.7% is the 12-month change, and yield is pretty good, 4.28%. So nationally, 544 is the average rental price, and 10% is the 12-month change, and 3.5% is the current yield. So that shows where investing in which areas is the best, or which capital major cities is the best to invest.
Well, correct. And looking at that high yield in Darwin, because the houses are reasonable, but the rental demand is very high, as we saw from the previous graph. And no wonder the yield is very high. But looking at 3.5 current yield right across the nation, looking at that take into account the regionals and of course the housing and the apartment and the unit ones as well. So overall 3.5% yield. That's not too bad at all. Well, right now, of course, on a weekly basis, we also look at some of these astonishing high sales. So what have been the big sales in Queensland?
Yes, looking at Queensland, Mermaid Beach at 5.7. Unit number 579 Albatross Avenue, Mermaid Beach. A unit has sold, or apartment has sold for 5,150,000. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 2 cars. And the other property that has sold in 30 Cypress Court in Myanmar, and that's 4,510,000. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 2 cars. So really high prices, very, very expensive properties. The apartment, look at that apartment, 5,150,000.
And that is amazing kind of values which we have been looking. But I think this week has been a little bit lower than what we have previously seen as well.
Yeah.
So some very great figures that have been coming through. All right, now let's take a look at your area and get a report on what's happening in your area.
Yes, looking at our area, north side of Brisbane in Boondall, Tygum, that's is our trade area. Listings are a bit down, as we were discussing before. The listings are down. There's only a couple of new listings have come on the market. Sales is down as well, as we are talking about the interest rate and everything else. So now it's stabilizing a bit. So hopefully there'll be more sales happening. We have sold a block of land for 555,600 square meter block. So that's one is sold. And then we sold another property at 51 Floramy Street. That one is gone unconditional, settling in about 1.5 weeks time. We have got open houses at 42 Fifth Avenue, and that one is going at 12 o'clock. So we have got a couple of open houses, no auctions at the moment. Rental market is very good at the moment. We've got three new rental properties this week, and we are doing open houses on those ones at 272 Muller Road, 112 Muller Road, and there's another one, a brand new listing at 16 Concordia Close, and that's in College Green Estate. So they are open this Saturday, and hopefully they will be rented soon after the open houses. So that's a short report because I have been on holidays. So that's hopefully next week we'll be talking about more properties. And if somebody wants appraisal, please call us on 3865 4466. For rentals, contact Vicky, or for sales, contact me or Deborah on the same number, 3865 4466. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Australian Indian Radio. Have a great day.
And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, this week's weekly real estate update with Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. Until next week, it's goodbye from us.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Usha Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.